Welcome into Wager Talk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Brian Power and Jimmy Adams of WagerTalk.com as we're talking the Big Ten here Saturday, kicking us off 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific kick. Brian, coming to you first, we're seeing Purdue at Illinois, the Illini, minus 6.5-point home favorites, 44 being the total. Are you liking anything in Champaign on Saturday?
I do. It's actually the total, but just a word on the spread here. First time that the Illini are favored against Purdue since 2016. Sign of times, this Illinois team has kind of gotten it going this year, although not last week. Kind of an inexplicable loss to Michigan State, 23-15. They were laying 16.5 there. They turned it over on downs 3 times in the red zone. So that explains it, I guess, right there. They were combined 7 for 23 on 3rd and 4th downs, including 1 of 6 on 4th. So they risked it a lot, didn't pay off, but should be pointed out, Fighting Illini have outgained every opponent this season, including Sparty last week, 441-294. Purdue, they also, of course, lost last week. They were 3.5-point favorites against Iowa, 24-3, so it wasn't even close. Iowa, by the way, their more abundant offense gained 6 yards per play against Purdue, which is pretty crazy. Boilermakers have lost 2 in a row now because they dropped one before the bye, 35-24 at Wisconsin. And against Iowa, guys, Purdue averaged just 3.9 yards per play. Only 168 passing, 87 rushing for the game. It was a little windy, but still, I don't think that's enough of an excuse. Now they're facing a defense that is a shocking number 1 nationally in yards allowed and scoring. The Fighting Illini just getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't want to lay the number with them, but I will recommend the under here. Looking at the Wager Talk odds screen, this number's ticked down already a couple points, so I'd recommend getting down sooner rather than later. I just don't think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this game. But Illinois, do they win? Probably, but I feel more comfortable predicting a low-scoring game and the under.
Jimmy, what are you liking early on Saturday between the Boilermakers and the Illini?
I'm thinking good bounce back spot for Illinois after somewhat of a head scratching loss to Michigan State. You know, they dominated a lot of statistical categories in that game. Illinois, 441 yards, Michigan State, 294. But the Illini, as Brian mentioned, just 1 for 6 on 4th down. Red zone offense was horrible. We have to think they're going to get that corrected. And this is a team that, you know, had obviously been playing so well all season long. The defense has just been phenomenal. And I'm not sure how much confidence you can have backing a Purdue team off their 24-3 loss to Iowa. We know how much Iowa's offensive struggles have been this season. And I've got serious questions about Aiden O'Connell's health. I'm not sure that he's 100% healthy. Something's going on with him. So I'll have to do a deeper dive into that. But this offense has just gone into the toilet from where they were to open the year, at least with the eye test. The defense isn't playing well either. They just allowed Iowa's freshman running back to rush for 200 yards. And obviously they lost to Wisconsin the week before that. So not thrilled either with laying this many points, but if I play this game, the only way I can look is with the Fighting Illini.
He's Jimmy Adams. You heard from Brian Power as well. Check them both out. WagerTalk.com. Enjoy the Big Ten action on Saturday. And also make sure to check out WagerTalk.com. Tuesdays, a good day to do so. It's $2 Tuesdays. The top handicappers, top play, discounted to just $2. Check it out. WagerTalk.com. Welcome into Wager Talk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Jimmy Adams and Brian Power of WagerTalk.com as we're talking Atlantic Coast Conference matchup here. Florida State and Syracuse, Saturday night, 8 p.m. in the Dome. Jimmy, coming to you first. We're seeing Florida State about minus 6.5-point road favorites, 51 being the total. The Noles going on the road here to the state of New York. Tough road trip for a bunch of Florida kids. I don't know. You willing to lay the near touchdown here with the Seminoles?
Yes, we got 2 teams trending in opposite directions. Syracuse has not responded well to that loss at Clemson. I thought they would, continue on, but they have done the complete opposite, now dropping 3 straight. Orange couldn't do anything offensively last week against Pitt, obviously put up just 9 points. Offensive line is a major concern for me. The quarterback gets sacked 6 times. Sean Tucker didn't have anywhere to run. He finishes with 19 yards on the ground. that doesn't bode very well for when facing a Seminoles team that ranks 22nd in the nation in scoring defense. And how can I bet against this Florida State team right now that just went to Miami, comes away with a 45-3 victory? That was one of the best rivalries, my favorite rivalry as a kid growing up. I know Miami not as good as many thought, but, they outgained the Hurricanes 456 to 188. FSU is going to dominate the running game. Pitt just had 160 yards on the ground versus Q's. I expect George Travis to have another strong outing and FSU to dominate on the defensive side as well. The Seminoles don't have much trouble going on the road either. They're 6-0 against the last 6 road games. I'm not sure that I'll get to the window with this game and lay it, but everything points Seminoles as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and Brian, coming to you next. I do agree with Jimmy there. I was trying to set it up like it was a tough trip. I have FSU circled here. It's just a matter of laying the near a touchdown on the road. The ultimate equalizer here. They don't only have to win the game. They got to win it by a touchdown to cash your bet. What are you thinking here in the ACC Saturday night?
Well, what I'm thinking is that my power rankings say Florida State's second best team in the ACC right now. Jimmy talked about trending in opposite directions. Syracuse undefeated, obviously going to that Clemson game. It's all unraveled since then. Florida State, interestingly enough, in its 3 losses, outgained every opponent on a per-play basis. So I think even the 3 losses are misleading. And what a difference a few weeks makes, guys. I mean, what would this number have been, 3 weeks ago? I think there's an argument to be made that there might be a little bit of value on Syracuse, but I need to know about Garrett Schrader's status. I need more than Dino Baber saying, quote, I would say he's got an owie that we're sensitive to. That doesn't work for me. I'm not going to, I don't know what to do with that, what the injury is. They're being pretty tight-lipped about it. But Jimmy talked about the offensive woes for the Orange last week. 145 total yards, 9 first downs. The offensive line play was atrocious. They never could get the run game going. So I'm actually going to just sit this one out. Yes. I mean, if Schrader doesn't play, then yeah, you got to lay the number with Florida State. If he does, I don't know, in the Carrier Dome or whatever they're calling it, I do see a little bit of value on Syracuse, but I wouldn't want to risk it right now with the unknown status of the quarterback.
He's Brian Power. You heard from Jimmy Adams as well. I'm Drew Martin. Guys, we're talking about -6.5, -7 here with the Florida State Seminoles. The best place to check out the best free live odds in the industry is wagertalk.com live odds screen. Check it out there, the live odds tab, wagertalk.com. Welcome into Wager Talk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Jimmy Adams and Brian Power of wagertalk.com as we're talking a big game in the AAC here, probably the biggest of the season. UCF and Tulane coming to you from the Big Easy. Brian, coming to you first. We're seeing the green wave. That's Tulane, -2-point favorites, total of 55, 3:30 Eastern kick on Saturday. What are you liking in New Orleans?
Well, Drew, first things first, Tulane, #1 ATS team in the country coming into this game. 8-1 versus the number. They're covering the spread by more than 6 points per game. They're now ranked 16 in the AP poll, 17 in the coaches poll. We'll see where they come in the new college football playoff rankings. However, I am not as high on the green wave as the pollsters. They are not even in the top 40 of my power rankings. Same with S&P Plus. The only top 25 team, in fact, that I've got rated lower in my power would be Liberty. And then turning to the opponent, Central Florida, this was a team that was kind to me 2 weeks ago. 5% play at home against Cincinnati. Got the job done despite losing Plumlee to a nasty concussion. And this past Saturday, I know they benefited from a bad PI and they let Memphis move the ball some. But you got to give the Golden Knights credit for going to the Liberty Bowl and not just winning, but covering with the backup quarterback, Keene. 35-28 was the final. That was a favorable spot for Memphis. They were off a bye, desperate to snap a 3-game losing skid. And I believe the Tigers had covered 6 in a row as a home dog. So impressive couple wins for Central Florida. I thought they should have beat Louisville. So they've only played one bad game. That was against East Carolina, who Tulane did beat. And I know Tulane's got the win over Kansas State early in the year, but I think the wrong team is favored, gang. I've got Central Florida as a 3-point favorite, actually. This is their first time as an underdog all season. So take the points with the Golden Knights.
Yeah, all right, looking towards UCF here. Jimmy, coming to you next. I thought Brian did a great job breaking this game down. He brought up that ECU game. I don't know if you guys have heard about Gus Malzahn firing one of the grad assistants the week before that ECU game, and then that grad assistant going to the ECU coaching staff and giving them the game plan. I mean, sure enough, if you go look at that game, I mean, it kind of sticks out like there might have been some nonsense going on behind the scenes, something to maybe bring into account here. I mean, UCF catching two. Tulane's been a great program, man. Willie Fritz has got it rolling there in New Orleans. What are you liking on Saturday?
Yeah, great points made by both you guys. I am actually more of a believer, though, in the Green Wave. I'm going to be backing this 8-1 team. I'm seeing a good defense, allowing just 16.9 points per game. Obviously, UCF right there as well. But the red zone defense has been solid, sneaky good. They've been great on fourth down. Key to the game, obviously, going to be stopping the UCF rushing attack, 239.9 yards on the ground. Good for 8th in the nation. So they're going to win and cover this number. That's a top priority. But I think the Green Wave are up to the challenge. Whether Reese Hoskins plays or not doesn't factor too much into the decision. I think Tulane's simply the better team. When I look at the Green Wave, I see a balanced attack, good quarterback play, a solid offensive line, decent skill position talent. And the trends certainly favoring the Green Wave as well. 7-0 against the spread last 7 conference games. They're good at stepping up in class and playing good competition. 5-0 against the number last 5 versus a team with a winning record. And UCF sitting at just 1-4 versus the number in the last 5 meetings. So I'm a believer in Tulane. Give me them on the money line this weekend.
All right, guys, it will be a fun one in New Orleans. For Brian Power and Jimmy Adams, check them both out. WagerTalk.com. I am Drew Martin. Enjoy UCF Tulane. Also, check out WagerTalk.com. Monday is a good day to do so. It's $9 Mondays. All plays from all handicappers discounted to just $9. Check it out. WagerTalk.com.